this is Missive. You have the usual suspects, right? Top left corner, the inbox that you would find in Gmail, Office 365, Outlook, any email client. And usually the inbox is to consume emails that you receive in your own email accounts. That's also what the inbox is about in Missive. If you import a private business email account or just a private Gmail account, you would consume them from the inbox. Now, if you want to collaborate around an account or around a Google group set on top of an account or whatever the setup over SMS receiving a Twilio account, what you want to use in Missive to collaborate with is called a team inbox. So if I go here and I select this team inbox, there are 6 conversations in it. And at the moment, only one I have not personally clicked and see the last message. So the blue background and the blue dot here illustrates me that that conversation I have not read yet. And in Missive, every user have their own read state on emails. Some of you right now might be sharing like a Gmail account, username and password, and you may be 5 people all consuming the emails from Gmail. And since it's the same account, if one person marks it as read, it's read for everyone. In Missive, that's not the case. Everyone retains their own read state on conversation. So if I select and read that conversation, another main difference than if you were using Outlook, if you look at the top here, you see 2 avatars, 2 users' avatars. Those are my colleagues. Those are the 2 colleagues working on the team support with me, all right? And the blue dot here tells me, okay, well, they haven't actually selected this conversation themselves. So I'm the first one selecting it. So I'll just deal with it. In Missive, to deal with a conversation, you can simply click reply or the reply shortcut. And that would automatically assign the conversation to you. Plus, you would start writing the job. Here, I'll just assign this to myself manually. I could assign someone else, but here, just assign this to me. And you see, as soon as I submit this assignment, the conversation here will be removed from the team inbox. We go from 6 to 5. So here, I assign this to me. You assign yourself. Now, the conversation is not in the team inbox support anymore. Another difference here, you see at the top, previously, those 2 avatar had colors. Now they're gray shades. The reason is because I'm assigned to this and it's removed from the team inbox, my colleagues here, they are archived. If they look for this conversation, they would find it. They still have access, but it's not in any of their inbox. So they won't be annoyed. I can simply work on it and reply to the customer and nobody else will lose time on it. Now, let's pretend I'm a new employee and I don't know how to reply to this specific question. In Missive, you also always have the ability to go in the chat section of any conversation. In that case, it's an email thread and have an internal conversation with colleagues. So here I could say, hey, Raphael, I have a question. And you see, as soon as I submit this mention, look for his avatar. The color will change again because my mention moved this conversation in Raphael's inbox, like if he had received a new email. Because now with my mention, I want to get his attention. He would have received a notification. And if he was a real person and this wasn't a demo, we could have a conversation. He could teach me how to best reply to those emails. And I could start a draft and he could even help me on that draft like Google document. So I could see his cursor, I could see him type, I could see his text selection and whatnot. So everything in Missive is live when you collaborate with someone. Okay, so now let's pretend Raphael teach me how to best handle this. I replied to the email and then I can send and close this conversation. So when you send and close a conversation, that conversation will be archived for you. But you still be assigned, but the conversation now would have the closed status. But if the customer email back, so if I reply to Paul, I send and close this conversation and then call replies back to my email. Now, because I was previously assigned, this conversation would only go in my Missive inbox, not go back to the team inbox support. So the assignment is kept after the close action. So now let's just close this manually. All right. So now this conversation has been closed and it's not in my inbox anymore because I just closed it. But I still have access. If I go to all, so the all mailboxes Missive is every conversation you have access to, unless the one that have been trashed or marked as spam. So if I click here, you see that conversation is closed, but it is at the top of my all mailbox. So lastly, if I reopen this, you see, again, it would move it back at the top of my inbox because any assignment, any opening in conversation you're assigned to, move conversation at the top of the inbox. So you can work on it from your inbox. You have a notification if the action was triggered by colleagues. It's always at the top of your inbox. Now, you've seen that with a mention, I can get someone else's attention. There's other way in Missive to get someone else's attention. Obviously, if I was to assign somebody else to the conversation, would also move the conversation in their inbox. But I can also keep this assigned just to me because I'm the one that needs to reply to call. I'm the one having a relationship with Carl. But let's say I want to have my colleague do some support tasks for me. Let's say export all invoice from 2022. And then I can assign this to that gentleman here that you see at the moment is archived. And as soon as I publish this task that looks like a small checkbox in the comment section, the color of his avatar changed. It moved the task assigned to him, moved this in his inbox. So he got a notification and then can quickly look and see that there's a task in that conversation in the task sidebar or simply inline in the conversation. When you arrive at the office as someone that works actively on a team inbox, you mainly go and assign them to yourself, or if you just triage them, you can assign them to other colleagues. Let's do that. Let's assign all of those 5. And by the way, here you have an example of an Instagram conversation. Here it's a WhatsApp conversation. You see the styling is different. It's just to illustrate you quickly that those messages are received from different type of channels. Right here, it's an SMS conversation. Here it's a Twitter direct message. And then here's just tweets from Twitter. We support many different types of channels. Those conversations are just to illustrate that. So here, let's bulk select those 5 conversations and assign them to somebody else. Now, the team inbox is empty. Let's say now you're the manager of that team inbox. You arrive at the office and both team inboxes are empty. You might be wondering what happened. Did we provide good support? Did we actually receive questions? You can always right click on a team and open useful sub mailboxes. In that case, you could open all the closed conversation or the one assigned to somebody else and still open. The one I prefer is simply all, as it would include everything. So as a manager, I can simply expand this, select all, and then apply a filter. In that case, the one I like is on red. So I only have the conversation that I've not reviewed yet. So I can go and review them specifically and then just move around and then read all of those conversations. And then once they all been red, I can just clear the filter, then collapse this. So the all includes everything and the filter is useful. So let's say there's a new employee. You want to see all the conversation assigned to them. You could assign to Raphael filter in that case. You could even pin that to your sidebar. So you always just one click away from all of the open conversation assigned to Raphael. So that's pretty much how you can, as a manager, you see what happened in a team inbox. Now, lastly, everything I've showed now is customizable. So the first options and the easiest to change are in the team settings themselves. So here, for instance, you see the active member in the support conversation, and you also have what we call observers. Active members are the people working actively on the emails or messages or conversations. Observer is for people that want to have access to the team inbox, but do not want to be annoyed with notification. Usually that would be a manager. Maybe that manager want to have access to all of the team's inboxes, but he doesn't want to be annoyed like a deluge of a notification. So you would define them as observer of that team inbox. They can open it in their sidebar, but they simply not receive any notification. Now, lastly, you remember when I said when you receive an email in a closed conversation assigned to you, you only move back into your inbox. There's a lot of companies that don't like this behavior because they need to reply as fast as possible to their customers. For instance, we have a lot of truck businesses, freight businesses, and they need to reply with quotes really fast so they win the contract. And if an employee is not in front of their computer, they can lose business. So in that case, anytime there's a new email, when receiving a reply in a signed conversation, they don't want to move it back only to the signee inbox. They want to move it back to the team inbox. So anyone actually working on the team inbox can take over. That's one example of those settings. Now, Maybe this is not enough. Maybe you want more customization. Let's say you want to automatically assign using run robin style assignment to each of your employee each time your email is received. So you don't want this state where people go pick emails in the inbox themselves. You want Missive to automatically assign them. That would be done with a rule. So you would click your name, setting, rules. Obviously, rules can be defined just by admins. You select, okay, whenever I receive a new email, incoming email, you could say in the team support, you could say, well, assign directly to a user using, well, to anyone in support that is currently online using run robin. So now instead of emails going to support and people having to go and pick them from the team inbox, they would automatically get assigned in their inbox to incoming emails. That's with this rule. Now, I think I'm missing a condition here. That would be the conversation state is in the team inbox. So you don't want to trigger a new assignee if the conversation is already assigned. So this is just one example of the rule engine. There's a lot of possibility of actions you can trigger. You can automatically forward the message. If you want, let's say, forward message to Evernote or your CRM or whatnot, based on if the user that emails you in your contact book, that forward that message to HubSpot. So I get that email in my HubSpot account. Things like that can be done using the rule engine. A lot of condition as well. You could create a conditions and rule triggers only on Monday or any day except Monday, things like that. And lastly, the one conditions a lot of people use is the service level agreement one. So if an email, let's say, is received in the team support and hasn't been replied after 6 hours, well, you could notify people at the company, everyone, let's say everyone, and here say urgent, need a reply, things like that. So that's pretty much it. Just to summarize back, inbox and missive, important to understand that that's a personal place. This inbox at the top here is my own space. So when I'm assigned to a conversation, it's moving my inbox. When someone mentioned me, in that case, he mentioned every people in the company of that demo, he moves it in my inbox, but I can safely archive it from my own inbox without affecting my colleagues because the inbox is my own place. I keep only the things relevant to me. So if I want to be inbox zero, I want to label, snooze, I can do so. It only affects me when I'm in my inbox. Team inbox is not the case. Every time there's a conversation in the team inbox, example, just an empty conversation, it would be the same for all the people in the team.